Hey, insecurity looks ugly on everybody. Everybody. Nobody likes a person that's weird and always questioning stuff. And so if this is you, pay attention today. If you know somebody, you got to walk through this journey of understanding that when you don't have security in yourself, no one feels sometimes secure around you. Like if you are insecure about your whole self and your persona, how you look, then everybody's walking on eggshells around you every single day trying to figure out where can I say something, can I not say something? And guess what becomes easier to do? To avoid you altogether. And so I'm telling you right now, if you want to get to this point to really have this new nuance of life, you got to step out, because I used to be insecure all the time. And here's what happens when you have this insecurity too, what you don't even pay attention to, is you have this envy. And envy's ugly, man. Envy it's diabolical. When you have an insecurity and you just notice you don't have, or you don't feel, people don't know what to say around you, it's kind of awkward. You feel like, man, like I don't want to mess that guy up or hurt his feelings or hurt her feelings. So you don't go around them. You start having yourself separate from people, but also you start to create this envy and jealousy. You envy those who have secure feelings. You envy those who aren't jealous. You envy those who have more than you. And what happens is you create this almost like a separation. You start creating blame. You start creating like these reasons in your head as to why somebody's there. So for me, like, this is something you can't do, not just because I'm saying it, because it'll be bad for your own life. Because what you do when you create these ideas of why somebody has this, you start making them a demon. You demonize what they do and how they do it. Therefore, you don't ever want to do what they do, so you never have what they have. I remember for me growing up as a kid, I always looked at these kids that had great things. In fact, when I was a kid, we didn't have money. I had to pay for my first year of football. I bought cleats that were too big. I had to put like this tape in the toe so I could actually fit these stinking things. And it was just bad. It was all around bad. And what I did is I had this thought in my head. One, I felt super insecure. Poor kid, didn't have much, wasn't going to be great for me. I was really insecure about who I was. I was given away as a kid. My own mom didn't love me. And so I'm in this weird dynamic. And then I don't have these nice things the other kids do. So I created stories about why they have it. Their mom probably does some bad things. Dad does some bad things. I actually created these stories out of envy and jealousy that made the people who had more money appear as though they were negative, bad people. I made it that way so I didn't have to feel so bad in my lifestyle not having what they had. And it was bad, because now what happens, I wouldn't become friends with these people. I wouldn't listen to these people. I wouldn't look at them as positive. I would downplay them. And what I've noticed in life is whenever you downplay somebody else's thing, you actually downplay your ability to get it. But downplay what they did or who they are and make it seem like it's just they lucked out or like they didn't work real hard for it. Well, then what I end up seeing myself do is I don't do what they did. Therefore, I can't learn what they have had to teach me. I can't apply the lessons they've applied. Therefore, I never end up having whatever it is that they have in life, even though I wanted to have this thing. So this insecurity, this envy, it wraps itself into this weird, like, man, almost like a serpent that just starts to cut off the life of you or your ability to create that cool life. So how do you fix this? How do you stop this? Well, the first one's pretty simple. One, you start realizing that the idea of a sense of, we'll just call it a lack of security, is based off this mirroring viewpoint of comparison, in my opinion. I'm insecure because I'm comparing myself to someone who is secure and has this stuff, and therefore I feel less than, so I'm just, why me? And don't do this to me, and please no. And it's like, you don't have strength in yourself. You build that day by day, brick by brick, rep by rep. To be quite honest, get yourself under some weights. Go run, go work out, go challenge yourself. There's something that happens when your physical body is put to a test, where when you're challenging yourself and you show up to the challenge, you push yourself to a level, you look in the mirror and you're proud of who you are. I think nowadays we're appeasing the weakest side of society. And in that appeasement, we're creating more helpless, sad, insecure humans because they aren't doing something to create strength and security in who they are in themselves. So you've got to go do hard things, like go subject yourself intentionally to a difficult situation to build yourself. In fact, there's great science that shows that the brain is actually, it's triggered based on stress. It's triggered to do something specific. Now there's eustress, there's traumatic stress. It's about eustress, positive stress. That positive stress, when it affects your brain actually codes proteins that encode more of your dormant DNA. Think about that. It unravels more, releases more. Like this protein's coded and then unravels more of your dormant DNA in your body. Therefore, you become more of who you're supposed to be by putting yourself through situations. You become more secure, stronger, more clear. You become a more dialed human being because of the fact you subject yourself to difficult situations. It's a huge piece of it. If you want to get to the point of having these great feelings about yourself, being secure yourself. Do what the other people have done in their own lives to get to that level. And typically, it might not be the same thing. It's whatever's hard relative to you. That's why you see some people who grew up as like nerds, skinny nerds, all of a sudden get big and muscles and they're buff. Now that these people who are like CEOs and they got some charisma and they're different humans, right? It's not rocket science. You've seen in every movie. It happens. The reason it happens is because they subjected themselves to something hard. It's not because of the muscles. It's not because of what they have. It's because of who they became while they got that kind of thing done and who they became as someone that could have that in their life. It was a journey of hardship and difficulty and going through it and feeling good and building themselves up. The security came in. So go build yourself. On the envy side of it, it's different. The envy side has to be one where you go from envy to admiration. It's a hard kind of bridge to cross that quickly, but that's what it has to be. See, if I envy someone for what they have, envy is like it's a negative thing. I believe it's kind of like a sin to be envious and to be jealous of certain areas. And in the aspect of envy being a sin, it's because you envy, and when you envy, you have this negative feel, this darkness in you, and then you do things. What you do when you have envy in your heart, and you don't have to. You can have admiration. See, there are people that have things I want in life. Not many at this point in my life. I got pretty much all the things I desire most, which was a big hill to climb. But in doing that, I found that there were times when I did envy individuals who had the wife and had the kids and had the joy and had the happiness. And what I did is when I envied that, envy led me not just to the space of like, I desire that and I want it. It was more of like, I don't like you because you have it. And because I don't like you, I got to look at ways to make you be bad in my eyes. And when I look at what you're doing and I have to find ways to make it be bad, I find things that really aren't that bad, but I make them bad. And in making them bad, they become these things that I'll never do. And here's the key, that if I don't do the things you did, I don't get to have what you have. That's the key. You have to look at individuals who you might envy and go, I want what they have and I just don't like it because of it, and go, you know what? I admire the way they communicate. I admire the work they put in. I admire the success they've had. I admire the impact on people's lives that they've had. I admire the impact on their own lives. You have to actually admire, because when you admire, you learn. If I admire something and look at it, my brain naturally wants to go, how? And what happened there? And how can I duplicate this? And then you celebrate it. And I heard recently, what you celebrate, you duplicate. If I admire something, I celebrate that thing. If I celebrate it, yes, that's awesome, I can duplicate it. So now I will do the things that person did. I will show up in the way that person showed up. I'll learn what this person did. I'll ask them questions. I'll say, hey, I appreciate what you've done. You look awesome in the world doing that. Do you mind sharing exactly what it is you did, right? I don't have this area of envy and I have appreciation, I have admiration. I decide to learn a little bit about what exactly it is this person has done differently than I have done that's created this for them. Because here's the cool thing, there's always something hidden inside that you're not aware of, which is the hardship. Every single person has had their own battles, but if you press it away and you envy it or you shame and you put it down, you don't give yourself the chance to find out what that thing is that person knows, that person went through, that person was dealt, that they fought through. Maybe a parent passing away, they battled cancer in some manner, maybe somebody that did them wrong and stole some money from them, maybe they got cheated on. There's a lot of things that happen and you have no idea they're happening, but you see a strong person, assume it was easy for them. But it's usually the reason they're strong is because of how hard it was on them. And if you can give that grace and give that appreciation to them and admire them, to learn from them, you start to see the humanness in them. And I'm speaking from personal experience. You see a humanity from the journey they've gone through and how so many things you would know have existed in their life and how strong they've been through that. And you go, man, if I could have a portion of that, a percentage of that, can you please teach me? You'll then learn openly. That's the hardest thing, is getting people's minds open. Your mind, typically in the envious space or the insecure space, your mind's not open. Because your mind's not open to realizing this, get stuck and confined in a funky place. You have to have somebody pry your mind open, and it's hard. You can have someone pry your mind open, or you can open your mind. Totally up to you. You can pry an armadillo open, but it's easier if the armadillo just opens, right? So where can you step in and go, I'm gonna let myself open up. I'm not gonna feel like I gotta pry my mind open. I'm gonna open up so that people can give me insights. I can pay attention. I can learn some things. When you can do this, gosh, things turn around. Now, if you're sitting there going, it sounds good, it's not going to be easy. No, it's not. And it's not supposed to. The harder it is, the more proud of yourself you are when you've seen the backside come to pass, meaning you've seen the results of the hard work you've put in, and it won't happen overnight. It's not going to happen immediately. You're going to have to build over time in the dark, what I call dark work, to build that security in yourself, to then be able to step back and not feel like you have to envy someone, but to ask them questions, to admire what they're doing, to learn from the lessons that they have learned. That's how you get the things that they have, and you appreciate them, and you give them grace for what they've accomplished, no matter how they did it in your mind of why it might have been bad, but you give it positive energy. When you do that, you start giving yourself positive energy. You start finding the solutions quicker, having more success, and one day you will wake up and you look at yourself in a mirror and have a deep love for who you are. You'll feel so secure in your skin and what you've created in your marriage or your family or career. You'll also no longer have envy, but admiration for everybody else around you. So go out there and do that. And as always, make sure you focus on making shift happen.